We're going to test the mic. We always test the mic because when we don't, it isn't working. And it doesn't look like it is. Test the mic. There it is. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Okay, I'm going to feature Andrew Ettinger today because I like his ads and his posts on LinkedIn. And if you wonder why I'm a minute late, it's because I was making sure that Andrew's picture was in there along with his post. Okay, so Facebook spent $65 million on media globally last year. Of that spend, $405 million was spent on offline media, while only $245 million was spent on digital channels. Now, I did ask Andrew in the comments below a couple of weeks ago, does Facebook count all its promotion of Facebook? For example, in every place you look, up in the upper left, there's a little Facebook bug. Facebook is well branded across Facebook. And every time you go to your page that you manage, it says, would you like to buy an ad? So I'm pretty sure they don't count that, and that's probably $1 billion worth of ad spend. But where they spend discretional money, that's just baked into what they are. But where they spend discretional money, they could be buying Google clicks to get people to Facebook, but instead they're doing outdoor or they're doing direct mail or I don't know if I've gotten Facebook. I've gotten a lot of LinkedIn. I've gotten a lot of not just a lot of different. I have a drawer I throw all my digital advertisers in. But anyway, so that being said, this means Facebook spends 62% of their media budget on offline media, while only 38% is directed to digital. There's something to think about. Now, if your company is not location based, where people can drive to your store, then outdoor is probably not for you. But mail still is. Almost no matter what you're selling. I've had clients in almost every industry, and we've made money with mail. And it becomes, not only that, that would be good enough on its own, but not only that, but mail gives you a foundation for learning. Because of the high engagement, all the machine learning power comes to bear in mail. Whereas in digital, you've got a lot of fraud. We'll talk about that in a minute. If Facebook spends 1.65 more on offline media than digital, what do you think Mark is telling you? Right. Because when you place a Facebook ad, I placed a few. You don't know where it went. You don't know who's seeing it. You might, and if there's a reaction. Well, if there's a reaction, that's good. That's better than nothing. But it's really not much better, right? Because you don't know where it's going. And if you don't have both sides of that equation, then you don't have much, right? I don't see that I'm live on LinkedIn or Netflix or oh, there I am. Okay, so I'm just double checking because I'm running. Okay, yeah, it seems to be working. I don't see anybody saying hello, which I always like when they say hello because it makes me feel special. No, that's not why. It's because there I am. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on YouTube also. So YouTube seems to be the best place functionally to watch. LinkedIn is kind of iffy. Anyway, so Andrew, thanks for that. And that is really, really real. And let's go on. Let's go on to I wanted to say a special congratulations to Eric Koenig, who's been promoted to president and chief strategist. Okay? And that's effective April 1st. And they said a lot of nice things. The co-founder said, Eric said, having been with SQL since my entire career since they opened the doors, I felt a level of personal accountability for the growth of the agency and the success of our clients. That's a great thing to say. That's a great perspective. I always tried to put the success of my clients ahead of my own success. I think my wife wishes I would have been a typical marketing agency. But anyway, it sounds like Eric's not typical, and neither were we. Okay, experienced. Tom Rothstein said, Eric has experienced notable career accomplishments, but he's remained genuinely humble. And for as talented as Eric is, he's an even better person. So I'm going to try to figure out how to work with Eric more often. Just wanted to give Eric a special shout out. Okay, now over to the news. Let's see what we got in the news. SpaceX successfully launches astronauts using a recycled spacecraft for the first time. I remember a cartoon back in when we were shooting lots of spacecraft, and the astronauts are both the astronauts are sitting there as they're about to launch saying, "Does it bother you that this project went to the lowest bidder?" Well, now SpaceX is recycling spacecraft, and so, if you like to buy used shoes on eBay, then you could be a SpaceX astronaut. Okay. U.S. ad market turns in the best March ever, up 25% versus 2020, but up 7% versus 2019. So, year over year, we're up, up, up. And here's a graph that shows it. I always like graphs, but, if you really want a good graph, this is from How to Lie with Statistics. I highly recommend it, and I have a PDF of it that I sent to all my children somewhere. And so if you haven't ever read How to Lie with Statistics, you definitely need to, because it's in the news every day. And here's a good example. If you wanted to make this look more dramatic, you would chop off the scale. Instead of at 200 million, probably, instead of 200 million here, you just chop the graph there, and you get this huge graph and a tiny graph and an even bigger graph, and it would look dramatic. And so that's something for you to think about when you do your presentations. Milwaukee is advertising as a bold, modern, experienced, obsessed destination. So in that light, I promise we're going to try and find some speakeasy bar in someone's basement that's still open, and we can have our next meetup from the bar. That's our goal. I'm telling the style consultant we got to go find some place that's open at like 3 in the afternoon so that Andrew, so that Matthew Parker can come, because it's past his bedtime by then. Okay, let's go on. Fraudbots are killing your customer acquisition and costing you millions. Okay, and this is from Chex, and Chex is a legit place. Man, they know how to spot the bot, and that is a great skill. Okay. And so they studied 30 leading digital retailers that were spending at least $500,000 a month on search stuff. Okay? And they analyzed all these bots, and they found out that there were 30, there were 8 in our analysis. 1 in every 50 bots arrived via paid search, but there were 8 that really mattered. I don't know where it says that 8 bots caught on the e-commerce sites. Okay, whether from paid search such as Google, Microsoft, or your social campaigns such as bots on Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, or Snapchat. No matter what, these bots self-identify in 8 ways. Okay, and so here's what the bots are up to. One is that they go and they click their way into your checkout page. Wow. In our study, this alone equated to more than 3.5 million bot clicks. Okay? Clogging up online baskets, causing logistical and refund challenges, and skewing vital metrics. This included filling out forms and making purchases. Okay? And some loan company was making fake loans and then chucking them when they found out that they were bots. Returners. Thousands of different bots returned several hundred times. Okay? Now, I'm not sure this is a fault of digital advertising per se. What's a typical acquisition cost? Boy, it can be all over the map. I remember when I was tracking it really closely, and this was back, years ago. It was $200 on some media sources, and it was $2 on others. Okay? So that's 100 times variation on stuff we were advertising in. And ironically, the $200 were no better conversion than the $2 ones. So we decided to go with the lower acquisition. And the reason for that is that, Carl, is that people don't know what they want. Just because they visit your site doesn't mean they're really looking for what you sell. I was on a site just this morning, and I don't know what it was about. It came up in my feed, and it was in Russian or Greek or something. I don't know what. And I watched it for a while to see if I could figure out what it was I was clicked on, and I still don't know. Um, okay, so anyway, all of these things are partly because we want to place orders without anybody talking to anybody. We want to make it so slick and easy that the bots can come into our sites. And we also, and this was something that Andrew Ettinger, in his excellent interview by David Rosendahl about a month ago now, and I have an abbreviated one. I think I'll put that in the members only on WDMA. I have an abbreviated 20-minute one that kind of gets at the gist of it. But in there they were talking about the fraud. There's a lot of areas of fraud, but they were talking about the clicks that don't go anywhere, that that you're paying for, and they're really getting you to generic sites. We're going to talk about that in a second. So anyway, there's zillions of ways to have fraud, but a lot of it is about, I remember, they were talking about how merchants don't want to think about creating a mailing piece. They want to think about, they just want to pay Google to send people. And that makes a lot of sense. Oh, now my phone thinks I'm asking it a question. And that's how smart the phones are. They're smart enough to hear the word Google. This is what I found on the web. See? And somebody's paying for this because Google wants somebody to pay. Yep. And somebody, what is this? Peep and Tracy by Ascend. And it looks like some kind of avatars with guns in cute little outfits. I have no idea what it came up with. But SoundCloud maybe paid for that. Cool, huh? And a lot of these bots are hired by your competitors to turn your customer sites into a mess. It's wonderful. But anyway, so if you're paying someone else to do your thinking for you, then maybe you deserve it. Here's a good story. We'll end with this one because I've gone a little bit along here. Grubhub agrees to settle false advertising claims involving non-partners. This was a really interesting one. I remember when this suit was filed back in the fall. Deliveries. Okay, so there's this restaurant called Fresh Craft Beer Bar and Kitchen that claimed that when you search for their site, explicitly for their site, Google would put Grubhub above their site. Okay? And even if you search for their site explicitly, okay? There was a time when the web was kind of like fair. And if you were looking for a specific site, you could find it. Not anymore. But then when you went to Grubhub, because it was up above, right? So here's Fresh Craft on Grubhub. This is a picture of the Grubhub link. Okay, and so there it is. It looks like you got it. You're really good. And so your customer clicks on it, and guess what happens? Okay, what happens is that it says this restaurant is not taking online orders. Try a similar restaurant nearby, because Freshcraft didn't want to pay Grubhub. Clicking in the app, it said Freshcraft is closed. Wow. I just want you to see this today, because this is the world you're in when you're just going with Facebook or you're just going with Google. You may be getting orders, but it may be from bots, right? And how do you cross that bridge? How do you cross the bridge from reality into digital and back again into reality? That's a question. Good question. With mail, you go from reality to reality. There's no bridge. Digital, there's two bridges. You see that? I may put that in the presentation. If you'd like to hear more about digital and mail, the upsides, the downsides, and why every marketer should be using mail at least at some level. If you want to hear that, if you're selling mail, if you're selling printing, if you're selling USPS, if you're selling creative, and you want to know what to say to people who are not doing mail, or you want to know what to say to people to get them doing more mail, we're going to have case studies. I'm going back in the archives because, us old guys have been fighting this literally for 25 years. In 1995, I was getting random calls from billion-dollar companies saying, we want to do a little mail. You're the guy. Everybody says, call John Miglosh. Okay? So digital basically eviscerated my company. And I said, someday we're going to have the evidence to overturn this. Sound familiar? We have it now. And if you're not looking into it, and I know you got your MBA in marketing, you went through an undergrad in marketing, and you never heard one lecture on mail. It's just amazing. It's like digital took over, and they took over the news sources, and they don't even let the mailers talk. But we're coming back. We have the evidence. WDMA.org. Go over there and sign up. It's going to be a private deal. We're going to have lots of interaction because we're charging for it $20 whole bucks. Thursday, 3 o'clock Central Time. Direct mail ain't dead. How to win back what digital has stolen. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's put this back up here so that LinkedIn sees this and not just a bunch of text. Okay, so where do you go? WDMA. You look for the little box that says direct mail ain't dead. Find out how to break that pattern of digital lies and how to do it for your clients. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friends will know you're smart. Bye-bye.